He said it like a joke, but everyone laughed. At Christmas, my brother smirked, pulling his girlfriend closer. This is the failure I told you about. And just like that, the room went silent, at least for me. I stood there, holding a gift I couldn't even remember wrapping. My hands suddenly too heavy, my chest too tight. My own family, my own brother, turned me into a punchline in front of a stranger. And the worst part? No one defended me. Not my parents, not my relatives, just awkward smiles like it was easier to laugh than to speak up. I wish I could say I walked away right then, that I had some powerful comeback, but I didn't. I just stood there, shrinking, feeling every old wound reopen at once. Because this wasn't new. This was years of being compared, dismissed, overlooked, all wrapped up in one cruel sentence. The house already smelled like cinnamon and roasted turkey when I walked in, but it didn't feel warm, not really. It felt staged, like everyone was playing a role they practiced for years. Hey, you made it, my mom said quickly, barely looking up as she adjusted the table settings for the third time. I said I would, I replied, forcing a small smile, slipping my coat off like I was stepping into something heavier instead. My dad nodded from across the room. Traffic okay? He asked, the same question he asks every year, like we don't have anything real to talk about. Yeah, it was fine. And that was it. Silence again. In the living room, my relatives were already gathered, laughing a little too loudly. My cousins glanced at me, then quickly away, like they weren't sure whether to include me or avoid me. I chose a seat at the edge of the couch, clutching the neatly wrapped gift in my hands like it gave me purpose. Then I heard his voice. Finally, my brother said, walking in with that same confident energy that always seemed to fill the room before he even spoke. Now it feels like Christmas. Everyone lit up. Of course they did. He barely looked at me, just gave a quick smirk. Didn't think you'd show? I always do, I said quietly. Yeah, I guess you do, he replied, like it meant something more than it should. His words lingered in the air, not loud enough to call out, but sharp enough to sting. I sat there feeling it again, that familiar weight pressing on my chest. The kind that builds slowly year after year. The kind you pretend not to notice until it's too heavy to ignore. And somehow, without anything actually happening yet, I already knew how this night was going to go. Dinner had just started to settle into that forced, polite rhythm forks clinking, small talk bouncing around like it didn't mean anything, when the front door opened again. My brother walked in laughing, his hand resting casually on someone's back. Sorry we're late, he said, like the whole night had been waiting for him to arrive properly. And then I saw her. She was smiling, a little nervous but excited, her eyes scanning the room, trying to take it all in. My mom instantly lit up. Oh, you must be her, she said, rushing forward with a warmth I hadn't felt all evening. Introductions started flying around, chair shifting, attention moving, every bit of it orbiting around him. I stayed quiet, watching, my fingers tightening around my glass. Then his eyes landed on me. There was something in that look, something deliberate. He wrapped an arm around her shoulders and started guiding her toward where I was sitting. Come, there's someone you have to meet, he said, his voice light, almost playful. My stomach dropped. I slowly stood up, forcing myself to breathe normally. This, he said, stopping right in front of me, that familiar smirk spreading across his face, is the failure I told you about. For a second, I didn't understand. The words didn't land right away. They just hung there like they didn't belong in real life. And then they hit. Hard. She let out an awkward laugh like she thought it was a joke she didn't fully get. Oh, stop, she said lightly, glancing between us. But he didn't correct it, didn't soften it, didn't take it back. Around us, a few people chuckled under their breath. Someone cleared their throat. My mom busied herself with plates, suddenly very interested in anything that wasn't this moment. I felt my face burn, but my body stayed still. Like if I moved, it would make it real. I looked at him, searching for something, anything, but all I found was that same mocking smile, like he just said something clever. No one said anything. That was the part that hurt more than his words. Not the label, not even the way he smiled after saying it. It was the silence that followed, thick, heavy, suffocating. My mom kept moving, stacking plates that didn't need stacking. Who wants more gravy? She asked too quickly, her voice just a little too bright. My dad let out a small cough, staring down at his food like it suddenly required deep concentration. Pass the salt, he muttered, though it was already right next to him. A couple of my cousins exchanged glances, then looked away. One of them gave a quiet, awkward chuckle, like laughing would make things less uncomfortable. No one said, "That's not funny." No one said, "Don't talk like that." Not one person looked at me and said, "Are you okay?" I felt it sink in slowly, like cold water rising inch by inch. This wasn't just him, this was all of them. I forced a small smile, the kind you make when you're trying to pretend you're in on the joke. "Yeah," I said quietly, my voice barely steady. "He's been saying that for years." "See?" My brother laughed, leaning back like he'd just proven a point. "At least you're self aware." More soft laughter. Not loud, not proud, just enough to let it pass as normal. I picked up my fork, but my hand didn't feel like mine anymore. It trembled slightly, so I set it back down before anyone could notice. Inside, something was shifting. Not breaking, not yet, just rearranging. Like every small moment I'd ignored before was lining up, connecting, forming something I couldn't unsee anymore. And still, the conversation moved on, like nothing had happened. I kept staring at my plate, but I wasn't seeing it anymore. All I could see were flashes, pieces of moments I'd buried so deep I almost convinced myself they didn't matter. "Why can't you be more like your brother?" My dad's voice echoed in my head, clear as if he'd just said it again. I was 16, holding up a report card I thought was good enough. Mostly B's. One A. I remember standing in the kitchen, waiting for some kind of approval. My brother walked in right after me, dropped his paper on the table, straight A's, of course. My mom's face lit up instantly. "This is what hard work looks like," she said, loud enough for both of us to hear. I laughed it off back then. "Yeah, okay, genius," I had joked, nudging him. But I remember the way he smirked even then, like he already knew where this was going. Another memory hit me. College applications. I had gotten into a decent school, nothing fancy, but I was proud of it. I walked into the living room, heart racing, holding the letter. My dad barely glanced at it. "That's fine," he said flatly, "but your brother's aiming higher. You should have pushed yourself more." Fine. That word stuck with me for years. Not good. Not great. Just fine. Even birthdays felt like comparisons. Gifts measured. Achievements ranked. Conversations always circling back to him somehow. And every time I told myself it wasn't that bad, that I was overthinking, that families just do this. But sitting there now, hearing that word failure out loud in front of everyone, it didn't feel new. It felt familiar, like something they had all been thinking for a long time, and he was just the first one bold enough to say it. I don't know exactly when it happened, just that something inside me stopped reacting the way it always had. Usually, moments like this would crush me. I'd go quiet, swallow it down, tell myself to get through the night and deal with it later. That's what I'd always done. But this time, it felt different. I looked around the table, really looked. My mom laughing a little too hard at something my brother said. My dad nodding along like everything was normal. His girlfriend smiling, still trying to understand the dynamics she'd just stepped into. And him, sitting there so comfortably, like he hadn't just reduced me to a label in front of everyone. Something shifted. Not anger, not sadness, clarity. It hit me all at once. This wasn't going to change. Not next year. Not ever. No matter how hard I tried, no matter what I achieved, I would always be seen through the same lens here. The lesser one. The almost. The failure. I felt my grip tighten around the edge of the table, but my hand stopped shaking. I wasn't shrinking anymore. "You okay?" my cousin whispered from beside me, barely audible. For a second, I almost gave the usual answer. "Yeah, I'm fine." But the words didn't come out. Instead, I just nodded slowly, my eyes still fixed on my brother. He caught me looking and raised an eyebrow, like he was waiting for a reaction, like he expected me to snap or joke back or disappear into silence again. But I didn't do any of those things. I just kept looking at him, steady this time. And in that moment, I realized something that felt both terrifying and freeing at the same time. I had nothing left to prove to them. I reached into my bag slowly, my movements calm in a way that didn't match the storm everyone expected from me. "Actually," I said, my voice steady enough to make a few heads turn, "there's something I've been meaning to share tonight." My brother leaned back in his chair, already amused. Oh, this should be good, he muttered under his breath. I ignored him. I pulled out a simple envelope, nothing flashy, just plain white, slightly creased from being carried around all day. For a second, I held it in my hands, feeling the weight of it, not just the paper, but everything behind it. My mom frowned slightly. What is that? I looked at her, really looked at her, and for once, I didn't feel like a kid waiting for approval. It's an offer letter, I said quietly. My dad's fork paused midair. Offer letter? I nodded. From a company I applied to a few months ago. I didn't say anything because I wasn't sure if I'd get it. My brother let out a small laugh. And you're bringing it up now because. I slid the letter out of the envelope and placed it on the table, turning it so everyone could see. Because I got it, I said. There was a shift, subtle but real. It's in another city, I continued, my voice still calm. Actually, another state. They're offering me a position I didn't even think I was qualified for. Silence crept in again, but this time it felt different. They saw something in me, I added, almost to myself, something none of you ever did. My mom picked up the paper, her eyes scanning quickly. My dad leaned closer, his expression tightening as he read. My brother didn't move, didn't laugh, didn't say anything. And for the first time all night, I wasn't the one feeling small. The silence didn't break. This time it stretched. My mom's eyes moved faster across the page, then slowed, then stopped. Wait, this is. She looked up at me, confused, like she was trying to match the paper in her hand with the version of me she had already decided on. My dad took the letter from her, adjusting his glasses. I watched his face shift first neutral, then focused, then something tighter, something almost uneasy. This company, he murmured, reading the name again like it might change. They don't just hire anyone. No, I said quietly. They don't. My brother finally leaned forward, his smirk gone now. Let me see that, he said, reaching out. My dad hesitated for a second before handing it over. I didn't miss that. My brother scanned the page quickly at first, like he expected to find a catch. A mistake. Something he could point at and laugh off. His jaw tightened. He read it again. Slower this time. What position is this? He asked, his voice not as light anymore. The one they thought I was capable of, I replied, meeting his eyes. His girlfriend looked between us, then back at the letter. Wait, this is actually really impressive, she said softly, almost surprised. That word hung in the air. Impressive, not fine. Not for you. Just impressive. One of my cousins leaned in. How long did you say you've been working toward this? A while, I said, just not out loud. My brother leaned back again, but this time there was no confidence in it. His fingers still gripped the paper slightly tighter than necessary, like he didn't want to let it go. And for once, no one was looking at him to leave the room anymore. I reached over and gently pulled the letter from my brother's hand. He didn't resist, just let it slip away like he wasn't sure what to do with it anymore. You leave in 2 weeks, I said, folding the paper carefully. My voice steady in a way that felt unfamiliar, but right. My mom blinked. 2 weeks? That's so soon. Yeah, I replied, it is. My dad cleared his throat, shifting in his chair. You didn't think to tell us before making a decision like that? I looked at him, not angry, just honest. I didn't think it would matter. That landed heavier than anything else I'd said. No, that's not, my mom started, but her voice faded like she didn't even believe what she was about to argue. My brother finally spoke, quieter now. So you're just leaving? I met his eyes, and for the first time, I didn't feel that old pressure to shrink under his gaze. I'm moving forward. He let out a short breath, almost a laugh, but there was no humor in it. Wow. I picked up my coat from the back of the chair, the fabric cool in my hands. Around me, no one tried to stop me. No one told me to sit back down. They just watched, like they were seeing me for the first time and didn't quite know what to say. At the door, I paused for a second, hearing the quiet behind me, the same room that once felt so loud with judgment now completely still. Hey, my mom said softly, but I didn't turn around right away. For once, I didn't feel the need to. But what none of them knew, what he definitely didn't know, was that this moment, this exact moment, would be the last time anyone ever called me a failure. And by the end of that night, everything changed.